Call me a stereotypical sitcom doctor because I have good news and I have bad news. The bad news is that this is going to be the hardest video in this series. The good news is that I'm going to go at a very slow pace to make sure you understand everything going on. After the video is over, if you still have questions, please leave them in the comments below and I'll respond to you within 1 to 2 hours as long as I'm awake. If I don't have the answer to your problem, I'll find the answer. That goes for every video I have on this channel. So, normally I walk you through the program and I'm writing the code at the same time that I'm speaking. I'm going to do something differently this video. I have all the code written out already. I'm still going to walk you through it, but the reason I'm doing it this way instead is because everything is connected in the way that I'm showing you today. It's the Cloud Atlas of C++. So I really want to have everything written out here so you can see how everything's connected, but we will go through it step by step. Just a little difference. So we know that if we're inside of our main and we want to access a function inside of a class, we'll need to make an object. So we create an object and we'll use that object, a dot separator, and then the name of the function to access that function. We've seen that before. We've seen it many times this series. So I don't think we need to go over that right now. However, what would happen if we were inside of a class and we want to access a function inside of another class for the first class? That's a little bit strange. So how can we go ahead and use functions from one class inside of another class and then use that function inside of the main to get everything at once? Now, the way or reason why we'd ever want to do this is what I have on screen here. We see I've created 2 classes already. I have the birthday.cpp and its corresponding header file, and I have the person.cpp and its corresponding header file. So say we go ahead and pick somebody out on the street. We go ahead and pick one random person. They're going to have a name and then they're going to have a birthday. So we're going to create one class which is going to allow us to work with the birthday part, and then we're going to take that and put that in the person class, and we're going to combine it with their name, and we'll make one big function inside of the person class, and we're going to see exactly how this is going to work out. So since the birthday class is going to be the one that's technically inside of the person class, we're going to be starting off with the birthday class. So you see here, I'm inside of my birthday class and I've already created 3 private variables. I've created the integer variable day, month, and year. Now we obviously know that birthdays are comprised of days, months, and years, so we can kind of see what we're going to be doing and what we're going to be storing in these areas. Next, I went up here to the constructor. You see that there's no data type and it's named after the class. We're in the class birthday, so I'm working with the birthday constructor, the birthday function for the birthday class. And we see that I put 3 parameters through here. I have the integer parameter d, m, and y. And as you can probably guess, d is for day, m is for month, and y is for year. These parameters are not held to the same private constraints as these over here, so we can actually be a bit more flexible with those, and we'll be able to set what's going to be stored in these locations. Now this constructor here, the reason we're putting them inside the constructor instead of going ahead and making a new function for all these things is because we're going to be using the object of the birthday inside the person class. If we want to access things that are inside of the birthday class, we know we're going to have to create a birthday object. That applies inside the main, and it also applies inside of other classes. So it's easier if we just put everything inside of the birthday constructor. So whenever we go ahead and create that birthday object inside the person, we're going to go ahead and call upon all these things. So inside of a constructor here, I'm inside of my birthday.cpp now. Inside of this constructor, you see that I have the same things I've written up here. I have the 3 parameters, d, y, and m. Also right here, I wrote that day has been assigned d, month has been assigned m, and year has been assigned y. So these are all set to each other. So once I were to give values to d, m, and y, those will be given to the variables day, month, and year, because I'm going to be working with those variables instead of these parameters. Now I also created a second function inside of the birthday CPP, the birthday class file right here. I have the print birthday, which is going to allow us to print the birthday on screen. Now, this is a void, so keep in mind this is a void, and it's going to be doing a printout inside of it. So it's print birthday function. It says their birthday is, then I have the day, I have a slash here just to separate it, I have month, I have a slash here, and then I have a year. So once again, I am setting the 3 variables that are private to these 3 parameters, and then I'm going to be printing those variables which are set to the parameters on screen. So whenever we give numbers to d, m, and y, they're going to slot in over here. They'll slot in here, and slot in here. Now I also took this function and I prototyped it by writing it inside the header. We see that I have it written over here as well. And make sure you always do that with the functions that you write inside of your birthday.cpp. Birthday.cpp is for the bodies, and the birthday.h is for the headers, everything that's not the body. So all that's good. Everything like this should be clear to you guys so far. This is nothing new that we've seen so far. We've seen all these things before, especially in the past few videos. So we shouldn't have any confusion so far. This is our constructor. Keep that in mind. Now we want to take this information and bring it into the person.cpp class. And this is where things might get a little bit confusing. So if we head into the person.cpp, Actually, let's head into the person.h first. I think it'll be a bit easier. We see in here, we're going to look at our variables first. I've created this variable here, which is string name. Now remember, we want to combine the person's name with their birthday, right? That's really the goal of the person class, because that's going to make a person, right? Their name and their birthday. So we have string name here. Now, unless you're named after a bunch of random numbers like 21211111511, a bunch of random integers, then you're probably going to want to have letters as your name, right? You know, my name is letters. I'm not sure about you. So if you want to store letters in a variable or store some text in the variable, you're going to want to store it as string and not store it as an integer or as a float or double. You're going to want to store it as string. Now you can't just go ahead and write string. You're going to want to go ahead and include this here. You're going to want to write string in triangle braces and make sure you include that on top of your header file. You're going to find that you might get an error unless you include it using namespace std. Now we normally didn't have to use namespace std because we haven't been working with string, but if you're ever required to either put std : and then write string name, you can go ahead and write using namespace std on the top to define your namespace instead, or you can just do it all the time if you wanted to be safe. Both of them work. So I have the name variable right here, which is going to be space reserved for whatever name we're going to be entering for the person. Now we see down here that I made another one. I wrote birthday, which is going to be the birthday class, and I created a birthday object called birthday object. Simple enough. Now we're going to go up here and we're going to go look at our constructor. Remember, the constructor will have no data type and it'll be named after the class. So the constructor for the person class is going to be person. Simple enough, the person function. Now I'm passing two variables through this person function. I'm passing string n, which is going to be the parameter for the name, and I'm passing birthday bo, which the best way to think about this is a parameter object. I guess that's the best way to think about it. You will see why we're doing this instead of writing birthday object in a moment. So I'm writing something different here. Instead of birthday object, I'm just going to make something shorter, bo, and we can say that stands for birthday object. But it's not the same thing as what we see down here. You'll see what the purpose of this is in a minute. I also have this other function prototype, but we'll look at that in a moment. So now we can head over to the person.cpp. You see that I have the string included in this one as well, so make sure you do that. And here I have my constructor. This is the constructor over here. It's the person function inside the person class. And we see that I have the string n for the parameter for the name and birthday bo parameter for the birthday object. Now right here, I'm going to make a member initializer list, which is what we saw in the last video, where I'm going to put a colon between the ending bracket here of your function and before the body of the constructor. And I'm going to say that name, which is a name private variable we have down here, right here, string name. I'm going to set that to n, and we set that by putting the brackets and then n. So I'm putting the parameter up here. I'm setting that parameter to n. I'm going to set birthday object to bo. So make sure you do both of those things. This birthday object is the initial object we created in the private area right down here. So make sure you do both of those things. We are setting them to each other in the member initializer list. We will not be putting anything inside the body for this constructor. Now we have all that ready. Now we need to go ahead and prepare our final function. So we're going to have a function here called print person, and it's going to be a void function because its only goal is going to be to print something out on screen. Now we see inside of here, I've already said that cout. I'm going to be outputting this to the screen. The person's name is, leave a space, and then write the name. So this is going to be the name variable, right? Whatever we store in here, whatever is being stored right here is going to be the name of the person. Now we can walk through it again. We know that right here we have string n, and we're going to be able to set something up here, right? When we go up here into our main, we're going to be able to write what we want the name to be right up here. And that's going to be set to n as we've done in our member initializer list. So that means n and name are going to have, for the most part, the same thing, right? So that means when I go and print out name later on, name is going to be whatever we wrote up here for string n or for n. So just keep that in mind. Next, I'm going to end off the line right there. And the reason I'm going to be ending off this printout, I'm not including this in the printout, was just remember one thing. This here is a void function, this print birthday. If I go back here to the birthday.cpp, we know that we already have a printing command in here or a printing statement inside of here. So it's kind of useless to go ahead and write two of them at the same time. It's actually going to go ahead and give you an error. So you're going to include them on different lines. You don't necessarily have to go ahead and end the line. You can simply end it if you want, but it's not required. Now you're going to see here that I say birthday object because I still need to use an object to go ahead and access the other class. So you're going to use the object we used before, birthday object, and you'll put a dot separator, and you'll use the function you want to access. In this case, I want to access print birthday. Now I have a function inside of another function. When I use the print person function, I already have print birthday inside of it. So all this together is going to give me the person's name, and then it's going to give them the birthday. It's also, we already have the text saying this is their birthday. That was written inside of the birthday.cpp over here. It'll give you this line as well. So you can expect this line that's going to be below the line over here, which is, oops, wrong one. It's being below this line. I know, everything is all over the place. That's exactly how it is. So we've managed to set name to N. We've set birthday object to BO. Both of these we're going to be able to pass things through with in our main. Same will go with the M, Y, and D that we saw in our birthday header over here. D, M, and Y, all those will be set as well. So we have everything ready, and we have inside of our person.h, our header file, I've already prototyped the void print person, which is the one we saw in the person.cpp over here. This one has been prototyped. Now with all that, we want to enter our main and make use with all the things we've just created. So whenever you have parameters in your constructor and you want to actually assign values to those parameters, so say we have the D, M, and the Y, and we want to actually give a day, a month, and a year, you're going to be passing it through or including it in a bracket following your object. So we're going to create new objects inside of our main. We see here that I have the birthday class, and I'm just going to create any birthday object. You can write whatever words you want, and that's going to be an object for the birthday class. It's a birthday object. Now here in the brackets, I went ahead and I put 16 for the 16th of day of a month. I put 8 for August, and I put a year, which is 1987, and this is all going to be passed through over here. So I'm going to show you guys the journey of where all these numbers are going to go. So I'm going to say that I want 16, 8, and 1987. I'm going to go into the birthday.cpp, and it's going to go in here, and it's going to say that D is going to be 16, M is going to be, what I put, 8? I put 8, and then Y here is going to be 1987. So they're all going to be right there. Now we're going to go into the birthday constructor here, and it's going to say, okay, now we want D is going to be day, so that means this is going to be 16, M is going to be 8, that means it's going to be 8, and then Y is going to be 1987, year is going to be 1987, and those will go all the way here into the private right here, and it's going to be stored right there. So now we have all of our values stored inside of here using the parameters inside of the main. Now we go back inside the main, we take a look at the other one we have. Now we have another object. We have the person class, and we created any person object. Now remember what the parameters were for here. So let's go ahead and just refresh ourselves for a moment. We know that the parameters for our person constructor, remember we're dealing with a constructor, so we'll be writing these values in with brackets following the object we create inside of the main. We see here that we have string n, so we're going to have the name of the person, which here we set n to name, and we have birthday bo, which is going to be some birthday object, which means we're going to have to include the birthday object we decide to use inside of our main is going to be included there somewhat as a parameter. So we see here, it says Carey Price is going to be the name of the person I want to use. And remember, you need to put this in quotation marks if you want it to appear as is. Even if you already know that it's going to be a string, make sure you put it in quotation marks so it gets both words and it gets all the text you want to have. So I have any person object. The first thing here, which is going to be my string n, is going to be Carey Price. So we can see what journey he's going to go on. Here, I go to person.cpp. You're going to say, okay, string n, this is Carey Price. He's going to go here. Down here, it says set name to n. Okay, I'll set name to n. And that'll obviously go and be stored right down here. String name, you have Carey Price stored right down here. And then you go here, and then you can see that name is going to be used over here, just like the month, day, and year are going to be used in the function we saw over here. So we have all that ready. And now the second one here, it says any birthday object. And remember, we said that this spot was a parameter for a birthday object. I mentioned that before, the BO was a parameter for a birthday object, which means you're going to use the birthday object you decide to use in your main, here right here. Any birthday object is going to be the parameter up here. So you'll list it in this bracket over here. And this is going to allow you to connect both things because we know that we want both classes to somehow be intertwined and connected to each other. The person class needs information from the birthday class, and this is how it's going to get it. So it knows exactly which class it wants to use. Next, we're going to say, now we're going to go ahead and print everything out. So it says use any birthday object. So down here, when you go to your person here, your person.cpp, we'll see it's going to go here, and it's going to be able to know exactly which information needs to go and take for all this to work out here. Now into the main.cpp, now we're going to say any person object. Remember, we want to access the print person function, which we don't need to print out because it already has a printout statement inside of it, so you don't need to print out something with it's a printout statement. Now you just create any person object you want to use. We'll use the one that's inside of the main here, and you can say print person. If I go ahead and build and run this entire thing, we're going to go ahead and see that the build has succeeded. The person's name is Carey Price, and their birthday is the 16th of August, 1987. I know, that was an ordeal. That was an extremely long process. It's an extremely confusing process, so I expect questions below. It's probably one of the hardest things we'll look at just because you're going all over the place. We haven't really seen something like this before, and it's just extremely confusing and intertwined. Honestly, it's the cloud atlas of coding. So if you have any more questions, feel free to leave a comment below or a question below, and I'll answer you, like I said, within an hour or two. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I know it was confusing. It should be easier on from here on out to the end. We're in the last stretch. We have a few more videos left. Everything should be perfect. Thank you very much for watching, and have yourselves a great day.